In this PS5 tips and tricks video, I'm going to show you what to do when your PS5 controller either keeps disconnecting or will not connect to your PlayStation 5. It turns out that in some instances, if your controller keeps disconnecting from the console, it could be because your PS5 is using a Wi-Fi internet connection. It sounds crazy, but I've come across a number of users who say that if they disconnect their Wi-Fi completely, the problem goes away almost instantly. Now, obviously, this is not an ideal solution since so many games require an internet connection to play, but there's actually a really interesting reason why this happens, and it turns out the fix is really easy. If your PS5 controller is in fact disconnecting due to Wi-Fi interference, I recommend making sure your PlayStation 5 is connected to a 5 GHz Wi-Fi connection, or just forgo Wi-Fi altogether and use an Ethernet LAN cable instead. But the reason why this happens is because PS5 controllers operate on what is called a 2.4 GHz connection, the same exact frequency that's emitted by most Wi-Fi internet routers. Now, the problem happens when you have a bunch of devices just like your controller all using the same exact frequency. It can sometimes result in disconnections, unreliability, and in some instances make it seem like your PS5 controller is broken. Now, to fix this very weird issue, all you need to do is make sure that your current internet router supports a 5 GHz connection. You can check this by either looking at the router itself or logging into your router settings page and viewing the section that says Wi-Fi. Now, the first step to fixing this issue is to temporarily disconnect your Wi-Fi connection. Simply unplugging the wireless router altogether should do the trick. Then you're going to make sure your PS5 is completely powered off and use a small tool such as a toothpick or a paperclip to reset the controller. Next, connect the controller to your console using the USB cable and then power on the system. Then we're going to go to our controller settings and make sure that the communication method is set to USB. At this point, you can go ahead and reconnect your wireless router and wait for the Wi-Fi connection to become available. The next step is to go to your network connection settings and make sure that your PS5 is connected to the internet via Ethernet or a 5 GHz Wi-Fi connection. You can check your PS5's Wi-Fi connection frequency by selecting View Connection Status, and the current frequency band in use should say 5 GHz. Now, if it says 2.4 instead of 5 GHz, the way you fix this is by going to your network settings, selecting your current Wi-Fi connection, and then press the options button. Select Wi-Fi frequency bands and change this to 5 GHz. And that's it. If your wireless router supports the frequency, it should automatically reconnect using a 5 GHz signal. If for some reason your PS5 does not automatically reconnect to the internet after doing this, it could be because your wireless router has a completely separate Wi-Fi name for the 5 GHz frequency. But for most modern wireless routers, the reconnection should happen automatically with no issues. And at this point, you can go ahead and disconnect your DualSense from the USB cable, and your controller should be trouble-free. So now you know exactly what to do if your PS5 controller either keeps disconnecting or won't connect to your PlayStation 5. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and found it useful or at least interesting, and if you did, make sure to leave a like rating, comment below to let me know what you think, and as always, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for post notifications. Also, good people. Peace.